Hello and welcome to the playoff edition of the Gold Advantage, where we're covering every single match of the LCS and the LEC playoffs. We just covered the FlyQuest TL matchup, one that we think is going to be a little bit more one-sided, but what for me, the most exciting match of the week, and probably the most exciting first round matchup that I've had, I don't know, for a while now in playoffs, is the CLG Cloud9 matchup. So Scoot, how are you feeling about this one? I know we had a little bit of contention going into this.
I'm feeling great, and it's about time to jump to the actual recording.
Next one, C9 CLG. Now, I am excited about this. You slandering it, saying you don't think it's that interesting.
I'm not
you
saying
then
I'm
tried
not
to
excited.
say that week one losses.
It's like,
and I'm like,
yeah, this hasn't even been said yet. Now you're just getting ahead of yourself.
Say your give it.
No, I mean your piece. Listen, what he's referring to is a little spat we had before the episode, which the piece that he said that triggered me to say anything about first week and how C9 had to play with substitutes and why I don't think it's fair to judge them purely based on their record. Whereas you look at the schedule, they played EG and TL first week, but they don't lose that match to Golden Guardians, and TL is probably more competitive. I don't think they beat EG, so it's either 2-1, 1-2, somewhere in there. You said though, I mean, to look at their records or whatever, like before, and I feel like it's unfair to judge C9 with that baked in there. They've been slightly above average since, which is where they ended up. So I don't disagree that CLG had a better split. I just think it's a bad way of quantifying.
You see, now less the split. I actually think the latter half. I think splitting the split into two parts is more interesting because
it's far more important.
If you look at 100 Thieves first half. I think that's almost irrelevant now. It's the second half where they go 8-1. That's what I think is particularly relevant.
But I think just generally, especially in gaming, but specifically gaming that is heavily influenced by developer decisions on what to do with certain champions, which League is one of those. We've seen developers change the course of playoffs, ruin worlds a couple of times. So I mean, I feel like when that's the case, your more recent play matters a lot more. So I definitely agree with you in that regard. And C9's been pretty shit since. So I would give CLG also kind of.
They
fell
actually
off
are
even
if you look at the matches played and get rid of the FlyQuest one, they're 6-3 both of them. So.
But do you get rid of the FlyQuest one because they fucking shit stomped FlyQuest?
So this is a really. I won't give away. I went deep in it. I'm really excited because I think these two teams, basically, I don't know who's going to win. I'm leaning towards CLG, but I also wonder if that's a little bit of fandom. I think you can make the argument either way, and this is going to be a really hard match to bet on as a result of that. I don't think Cloud9 is that good of a team. They've kind of meandered. Whereas at the preseason, when I saw this, I was like, oh, you know what? By the end of the season, this team really could be in contention for first. I don't think that's the case. And that's why they're in fifth place. I think they are where they kind of deserve to be. Now, if you want to flip them with CLG and put them in fourth place, fine. But that's kind of the whole situation here is you have one team that has veterans and established, and that hasn't really actually done that well. They've been very hit and miss. You have a team of rookies who have done really well, I think, in that sense. But are also not that great. They're not. Then CLG is not challenging top 3, for example. And when you look into the stats,
they have at points.
The stats actually break this down. The stats kind of flip each other. So C9 has a really good early game, but mid to late game, CLG is better. You go CLG is first for first blood. C9 is 10th for first blood. So that's a big one. That's one I would definitely take the CLG money, the bet on first blood. But then first tower rate, CLG seems to be better, 56% to 32%. So I would take that probably as well. But that being said, when you start looking at the ward controls and the team play and some of the other stats around how the team is playing, C9 comes out ahead. You also mentioned this is veterancy, and I do
experience.
Contracts is the only one who's played in a playoff. and a major
And
region
were
playoff.
they? Was he even
He's
successful in that?
yeah. Well, he was on Cloud9, so fairly. He was fine.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, there's a lot of pressure when you're playing for playoffs, and when you've had such a season and a split. I'm just uncertain whether how CLG will do. I just don't know. Will
you think there's
under pressure,
more pressure? Do you think there's more pressure on CLG or on C9?
CLG.
Because I feel like
CLG.
there's a decent amount of pressure on C9 to do something.
There is. I think there is, but I think all the players are veterans. I think that pressure is there regardless of 5th place, 1st place. Like, they're there to win. And I think...
Yeah, but they wouldn't be playing this match if they came in first
Yeah.
place. That's what my point is. Like, they,
Okay.
the expectation is to be not
But let's say
playing
they're
in
in
this
3rd
game.
place.
Yeah,
They'd still have to play it.
That's
They're in
fair.
3rd place, and I just think for them, they can handle that pressure. They're used to it, so I don't think it affects them in the same way as opposed to these guys who are doing it for the first time. That being said, I actually think this matches up really well. I don't think Fudge has done that well this year. I don't think Dokla is better than him. But
Yeah, Fudge has been surprisingly mid.
yes. So if you look
To be
across
honest.
the board, like Fudge, Dokla, that's fine. I'll give it to Fudge, but it's even. Blaber also hasn't had the best. And Contracts, I feel like, has been really good. And more importantly, I think Contracts Palafox has been better than Jensen Blaber.
Blaber's been kind of nerfed by this like short-term move away from jungle priority for a little bit, and it's like pretty. I feel like jungle champs right now are very. I don't know what it seems like they're more facilitators than they are pop off in terms of like what's meta, and I feel like Blaber was very good when he could pop off and get something that like can shit someone early game, i.e. Volley Bear, like something like that, and he was very good at building on top of it. It seems like there's a little bit more struggle when you incorporate the team factor with the champion a little bit, but I still think like it's hard to say he had a bad split. I mean, they wound up in 5th and he still played
Oh no,
pretty well
Blaber did
along
play
the
well,
way.
but I think the thing is that when I'm looking at it, historically, it's a weird thing. If historically, I would say
the point.
Jensen is going to dumpster Palafox. I think Blaber's going to destroy Contracts. Fudge is going to dismantle Dokla. But now, actually, this split, based on how they've been playing, I'm like, I actually think Palafox has played incredibly well this split, and I think he can match up. I think Contracts can match up. I think Dokla can match up. And so, across the board, I think CLG actually has a real shot. I think they have a really good diversity in the bot lane. They can play enchanters, they can play Draven lanes, they can play normal, kind of ADC. So there's a lot of drafting. It really comes down to, for me, how CLG play. If we're talking about the regular season, CLG, I think CLG wins. If they can continue playing the way they did during the normal split, I think they win this series. And if Cloud9 also plays the way they did across this split, I think CLG takes it. If the pressure of
it's just a matter of like will experience kick in. I feel like is kind of the fundamental just situation there.
And if experience kicks in, I take Cloud9.
Yeah, and I think you take that all day. I also, part of me thinks that like it's going to be a close series, but I also. I don't want to disrespect Luger. I think he's had a good split, but I think Berserker is more mechanically talented. But like he's more mechanically talented than most of the league. To be honest,
but Luger's had a good split. But
and
also,
I think that only sets the stage.
I think Luger and Pooh
but
in lane have been better than Berserker and Sven, or as good.
I agree,
or as good.
But I do think that Berserker also Cloud9, knowing their weakness, will send Blaber down there to ensure that the lane is solid, even though it's not necessarily a weakness.
They haven't necessarily all split. So this is,
they've got a little bit of time to look at it, so hopefully they see the same numbers that we're seeing. Now, I do think that Berserker somehow pulls them out of this fire. I
don't think Berserker. I think no, I don't think so. I don't think Berserker is the.
I think there's something in the cards.
I don't think they win through.
I think there's like a quadra, maybe a penta somewhere in there.
Maybe
I'm not.
One win. You know what? So
No, like this
All
series.
right. Betting lines. Let's just.
Although
Yeah.
wait, although like, God, it's it went down to ADCs
Yeah.
like the focus for a
Why?
very long time. Like, I mean, you watch the games where Arcane comes out, they're like, oh shit,
Gotta
we have to
buff Jinx, yeah.
Like that's okay, and then everyone's playing Jinx, and then priority slips back into the jungle a little bit, but now I feel like it's coming back down to bot lane. I mean, I watched way too much LCK, so saw a lot of Draven. I mean, that was literally all T1 was picking for like 4 straight weeks. But yeah, it's nice to see
that Draven combo,
LCS pick up some of those champs.
CLG just did it, and they smashed with it. So, and also, by the way, they're 1-1. So Cloud9 and CLG, but Cloud9 beat CLG in week 3. CLG smashed Cloud9 in week 6 or 7, I think.
I think
so.
It's a very CLG
so they split
by
it.
all means.
Recently, CLG smashed Cloud9. Early in the split, C9 smashed CLG. Interestingly, I think both these teams have a 1-1 record against everyone except for one other team. I think CLG it's 100 Thieves and Cloud9 is EG. So they've gone 0-2 against that opponent
against
the top two teams, but they won. But Cloud9 has won one match against 100 Thieves, and CLG has won a match against EG. So it's like they have the potential to like compete. It's just about who's showing up.
It's gonna be an interesting series. You know what?
I'm excited about it. I'm actually genuinely. It's gonna be a fucking bloodbath because I don't think CLG slows down. I think we get the full ham CLG. I think Blaber is trying to he'll try and carry, and he's always bloody. So I think kill spread could be a fun one. But I'm taking CLG the money line 2.54. I think that's a great line on CLG. I'm taking that. I'm also actually going to take I think the plus 1.5 on CLG at 1.76 is actually pretty good. The minus 1.5 at 3.9 is a bit also degeneracy there. 3.9 for a minus 1.5. I have no idea what the scoreline is. I think I can argue it for a 3-2, 3-1, 3-0. So I have no idea, but I think all three of those are pretty good.
Dude,
yeah. Well, what would you take on the Cloud9
I don't know.
side?
I don't think that like Cloud9 goes out without winning a map. To be honest, I don't think that happens.
It would be one of those series where Cloud9 almost wins all 3 games. Do you know what I mean?
And they just shit the pants?
No. As in, they just, the matches are really close, and it's, because neither team gives up, it just goes ham, and somehow...
slowly slips out
not slowly. I think it's, more chaos. I think it's just, so much fighting, so much killing, and it's on a knife's edge, and just CLG maybe comes out ahead in one fight. But if Cloud9 came out, they win. So we get a 3-0, but it's not actually reflective of the performance of the team.
You're advertising for a triple base race right now. That's what I'm hearing.
Triple base race. I don't know where the third team comes from, by the way. What's the third?
No. like 3 maps in a row. That would be insane.
Would you take? Have you seen minus 1.5 on Cloud9 at 2.08? That's pretty good, I think.
I don't think anything on the side of Cloud9 is very good.
Oh, you don't like the minus 1.5?
I don't really like the money line. I feel like they're a little overvalued here.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the money line's shit, but the minus 1.5 even, because I think that I'll agree with you here. I think CLG can hold their own against C9. That's been proven this split. I like the plus 1.5 on CLG. I think that's fairly generous, if not accurate odds, within my parameters to take it. And dude, I just don't. I really don't know, to be honest. I think this is a very good game as a spectator, and it leaves me slightly confused because I feel as much as I want to say that CLG breaks through this kind of barrier that is C9 to them, it almost feels like at some point experience is just going to kick and Cloud9 will just start rolling them. But I've also seen Cloud9 just never have it kick in. They remind me of Optics sometimes in Call of Duty.
I can believe it. I'll highlight the.
Yeah, I don't know.
Under 3.5 is 2.9, and the over 4.5 is 2.8 maps. That's potentially juicy. I think the kill spreads could be a good one. I don't know what I would take. That's more your area of expertise. Like I said, I will highlight CLG is first for First Blood. We don't have the prop bets at the moment, but CLG first for First Blood. Cloud9 is in last place at 10th. CLG is also better than C9 at First Tower at 56% to Cloud9's 32%, so that's a good one. Herald Control, CLG's first at 64%, whilst Cloud9 is at 6 with 50%. So that, I think, is a little bit trickier there. When we go down... And by the way, even if I adjust this for the second half of the split, CLG drops to third at 67%, but Cloud9 still at 20% for First Blood. First Tower, they're actually about the same, so maybe that First Tower one is more recently not as relevant. First Dragon in the latter half, Cloud9 has it for 70%, and CLG has it for 44%. So actually, I'd maybe go Cloud9 First Dragon. Yeah. Basically, one interesting stat was that CLG has more average deaths per game than they do kills per game, which tells me that when they lose, they don't stop going. They're like still they never stop, and I think that's a really interesting stat because that, like, for the kill spread, that's a good one. I'll also point out CLG has an 80%
death spiral when they lose
over the split. CLG has an 80% win rate. If they're ahead at 15 minutes, whereas Cloud9 only has a 69%. So if CLG has a lead, they're more likely to close it out. Yeah, that's it. Final thoughts?
I almost want to flip, but at the same time, like, I know that the smart thing to do here is just to not bet on this match at all. However, like, if I were going to advise people to gamble on this, I would say CLG is the better pick. But for me, it's like, I want Cloud9 to win, sort of selfishly. I like Cloud9 and I like the brand a lot, but I also want to see CLG like make a playoffs run. I would love to see CLG. That would be very cool to watch.
For CLG, for these players to beat Cloud9, what a story.
You know what? Fuck it. I'd shove on CLG 2.5. I think those odds are too good to pass up, to be honest, in this series.
You have it?
You just got to take it. Those are my final thoughts. Right. So if you stayed to the end, there's your alpha. Leave a like. Don't forget it.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, comment. You can find us on social media, YouTube, everywhere at Bo3 Network. Come join us in the Discord, and we will see you next week for the LEC and the LCS. Bye.
Peace.